Want to see the world from a totally different perspective?
Ready for provocative conversation,
Intriguing stories?
and inspiration? Then don't touch that dial. Welcome.
To Talk with Francesca.
She'll give you something to talk about all week long. Now,
Here's Francesca.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Talk with Francesca. I'm Francesca, and you're listening to AM 1510, NBC Sports Radio, Boston. For questions or comments, or if you want to join in on this conversation, please email me at info@talkwithfrancesca.com. All right. So isn't everyone afraid of death? Well, with me here today, live, loud, and local in Marina Bay, is Sandra Champlain, author of We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. Welcome, Sandra, and thank you for being on Talk with Francesca today.
Oh, Francesca, I am so delighted to be here today.
Well,
thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. So you had a fear of dying that led you on a 15-year journey looking for proof of life after death. Is that right?
Yes.
So it was a real serious fear. Beyond, because isn't everyone afraid of death?
I think everybody is when they think about it, but I just woke up one day. I don't know where it came from, but it was just always on my mind.
You know, it's interesting. I've got a friend who actually had a similar experience, and I showed her your book.
Great.
Because, yeah, she was really, really afraid of death. And I guess I just don't really think about it much. But anyway, but what was it about death that you were so afraid of?
I'm not sure. And just to go back to what you just said, so many people have the fear, but we don't talk about it. And at any time, if you look at the top of the New York Times bestseller list, right now there's 3 books about life after death. So people want to know. It's just not like a
we want to know
conversation.
We want to know what goes on. Yeah.
So I don't know the tipping point that really led me to have the fear, but it was just everything I could think about. And I just started researching, maybe there's something I could find to just calm my own fears.
So what did you uncover?
Well, first thing I uncovered was nothing. It was, I looked into my own religion, being Catholic, and I found a lot about faith. And then I just started really digging through other religions and come to find out right at the very beginning, I thought, well, if I could just be the best person I can be, I have nothing to fear. However, that was it, because I thought, well, I'm never going to find any real proof. You know how we all have the little voice in our head that's constantly saying,
right, well, there is no real proof, right?
That's what they say. However, for me, I had an opportunity to see a live, like a stage show of a medium. And you have to know that I've never believed in that. I would call people crazy. So
you're a real skeptic.
Yeah. Anybody who went to get their cards done or find out what their angel said. I laughed at it. I would see huge amounts of books in the bookstores with all that alternative kind of thing. And I badmouthed people that believed in it.
Me too.
For me, I just thought, well, for fun, I'll go with a friend of mine and see this.
And you did.
Live show.
And?
It was Dr. Doreen Virtue.
Oh, wait.
You know Doreen?
Didn't she do like angel cards or something?
Yes.
Okay.
She's done angel cards and a lot more. She's a psychologist that ended up turning into this angel woman when she herself started hearing voices in her own head.
Oh, my goodness.
And also started predicting things that would happen. I know. But I got an opportunity to see her, and there was about, 150 people in the audience. And so they'd ask questions about angels, and I really wasn't too interested in that. But when she...
Do you believe in them?
I do. Yeah, I do. But when she answered someone's question, she also would say, your grandmother Rose is standing behind you, and she's telling me about the chicken noodle soup she used to make for you when you were a kid, and she taught you how to crochet, and like specifics, not just there's somebody with you, it's a woman who's passed that loves you. So it was so specific, Francesca, and over and over and over she did that. And I was looking, is this fixed? Is there somebody in the audience that's
what I'm thinking. Oh, yeah, sure.
But no. So that had me go home and very discreetly start studying this Doreen Virtue, who she is. And
interesting last name, isn't it?
It is, and that's her real last name. No, she didn't put that in there.
Yeah.
But it had me actually fly out to California and take a course with her.
Oh, really?
Very discreet, under the radar. Again, in my life, people are crazy that believe in this. But to rest my own fears, her course was called Medium Mentorship. And at the end of 3 days, you'll be someone who can accurately tell the deceased people around others. Now, that's insane, right? However...
Wait, I'm speechless and I'm on the radio.
Yes.
Come on.
However, given that the fear never went away, and I saw her in front of a live audience do this, I thought, if I could have my own experience, I would know one way or the other if this is real or not. So I flew out to Laguna Beach, California, didn't tell anybody the real reason, paid way more money than I had in the bank. And I sat in a small group of 20 people. And I would love to tell you what happened.
Well, please do.
Doreen said, first of all, I'm sure everybody's nervous. And we're going to start out by just telling you how we do a medium reading. We're not really going to do it. She says, you're going to use the power of your imagination and you're just going to invent someone in your mind. She says, everybody grab a partner. So I picked a nice lady that, of course, I knew nobody in the group. She says, close your eyes, hold hands. And she says, just imagine your hearts are connected, kind of just invisibly.
Yeah.
And she said, say a little prayer and just ask if there's a loved one that wants to come through. But again, we're making this up. We're not really doing anything. So just create somebody. And then she says, just tell a story. And then there's always some profound message that comes through from the loved one. So because we weren't really doing it, I thought, well, I'll go first. Why not? Fun. I've got quite an imagination. So I closed my eyes.
It sounds fun.
It is. It was. I thought, because I didn't.
But weren't you a little
have to.
afraid?
I wasn't then because we weren't really doing it.
And don't you feel like you're delving into the occult?
Oh, yeah. There's been some times that I had, definitely.
Especially since you said you're Catholic, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, it's okay.
So go ahead.
That's okay. This part of the story is almost over, but it's
No,
where
please.
it happened.
No, tell me.
So I closed my eyes and I'm telling this woman, I said, okay, I'm seeing your grandfather on your mom's side. And he's a fisherman. I saw a fishing boat in my imagination. And his name is Jan. And he's from Denmark. And he had blonde hair and really windburned skin and a big gap between his two front teeth. And he died of lung cancer.
Quite visual.
It was just coming to me.
Yeah.
It's coming just because I was making it up. It's very easy.
Yeah.
And then I said, here's a message that you're supposed to give your mom. So I opened my eyes like, okay, I'm done. Your turn. And she's crying. Her grandfather's name was Jan from Denmark, worked on a fishing boat, died of lung cancer. And that message was something that the mother had wanted to hear while this guy was still alive. Same reaction I had. Yeah. Now, this is from the skeptic who doesn't believe it.
Yeah.
So suddenly a new world opened. And I spent 3 days in that seminar, only right about 50% of the time, because what goes, I believe everybody has access to communicating with their loved ones, having these, divine thoughts or even getting great ideas and things like that. But so often our imagination kicks in.
Okay. And so what you're saying is the imagination takes you away from?
Yeah, it can. Sure. Definitely. Because I think it appears just the same way. So even there's something kind of magical about being in the present moment when all there is right now, and you can quiet your mind and not think. And so great inventions have happened that way.
Right.
Albert Einstein and Henry Ford and all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Great musicians attribute being in that place.
Yeah.
Well, that was also the place I was in, working one-on-one with this woman and having these ideas.
So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Talk with Francesca, and I'm here with Sandra Champlain, who is the author of We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. So what evidence do you have that we don't die?
Well, beyond just what went through my own head.
But that's not, okay. So
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're still dead.
They're still dead. Bodies are dead.
Bodies are dead, souls are not. Is that what you're saying?
Souls are not.
So where do these souls go?
Interesting. Because it is, now this is my theory, and it's the best I've got. But when we talk about heaven, we also use the expression hereafter, the hereafter.
Yeah.
So here, after death, we've all heard that we're made up of energy. Even if you try to put a camera inside one of our atoms of our human being, you'd see nothing. There's just vibrating energy. It's empty. So we're all energy. So when we die, our body goes, our energy still exists.
And where does it go?
Here, after. So I say, and I'm not alone in this, there's lots of physicists and scientists and doctors and spiritual people that this energy of our soul is still vibrating hereafter. So here's what I say, is we cannot see around us the wireless internet, right?
Right.
We cannot see the radio waves that are happening.
Right.
And some people might be listening in their car right now, and there's just sound coming out of a little box that's not connected to anything. So we don't have to see something with our eyes for it to be real. So I say our deceased loved ones, they are vibrating their souls in a place that's right within where we are right now.
it's easier for some people to connect with their someone that they loved and not so much with others. Isn't that true? I mean, some people can't. I mean, can they go to mediums and it not connect? Or is it, am I asking?
Yeah, I think
Right?
the problem exists a couple ways. One is mediums are human too.
Yep.
Okay, so
Are they psychics?
there's a slight difference. They say mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. And the difference...
A medium is, you are the person in between
the connection between, someone who's passed away and somebody who's alive. And a psychic is more someone who can tell your past, tell your future, see
And
things
do you
within
believe
your
that?
life. I do believe that.
You do?
Only because, see, now I'm the skeptic, right?
Yeah.
So I need to prove something for it to be real. I took a course called remote viewing.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Now, this is a physicist who had this course. He's somebody that created the laser beam. Okay. One of the founding fathers, brilliant man. So he offered this 3-day course in remote viewing. And for you and your listeners, remote viewing is a form of ESP.
Okay.
Extrasensory perception.
Okay.
So I had heard about this and he says, "Oh, I'll teach you. If you come to the course, I'll teach you." I mean, so open. Like, what? How is that possible? Well, in his same thing, we quiet the mind, get to the place.
It's always the quieting of the mind, which is so hard to do. But once you get there, it seems like you can move mountains, right?
You can move mountains, and you can also get great ideas, and you can connect. Well,
but it's hard
thing.
to,
Oh, it's hard. And then even if you can do it for a couple seconds, suddenly your little voice pops back in saying, there's a whole bunch with the left brain, the right brain, the creativity.
Exactly.
But remote viewing is something where, again, closing your eyes and having the intention to know either like what pictures are inside of a magazine before you even open the magazine, or you could have a friend maybe in Australia who's got a shoebox and there's some object in it, and to have the intention of what is inside of it. Now, our brain can't pick up on exactly what the object is, but it can see different attributes that are interesting. Now, how this happens, I don't know. It's pretty magical, but it does happen.
Magical?
Well, I don't know, because who we are as humans, I think, is so much more powerful than we know. So it's actually the normal. So it's probably not magical, but I've worked with so many people and taught so many people how to remote view. And it is mind blowing when even if you have a friend in the next room who's got something hidden and like you see what it is in your mind's eye. And then that moment that you look and it's like, how did I do that? And, or a magazine before you've even opened it, and you can jot down a bunch of images that just come into your imagination yet again. But what happens, Francesca, is one, you get lots of goosebumps because it's not, doesn't
you
make
must
sense.
scare yourself. No?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
All the time.
No kidding.
But other people as well, because if that's possible, it opens up the door to, this whole other life after death is possible and how powerful we are as human beings.
So where do we go?
Where's the place? Well, I call it heaven because I'm still Christian, whatever, hereafter, whatever. And it's a place that's all good, all beauty, all wonderful. Our deceased loved ones are there.
So you think people all reconnect with their loved ones?
I do. I most definitely do. And there's been so many stories, even blind people who have never seen ever in their life have had near-death experiences, just dying on an operating table for those short moments. And when they come back, the stories are so specific. They've seen people, they've seen colors, they've seen things like in the operating room, and they've never had sight before. And I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of examples of this.
What do you think happens to people then who commit suicide?
Well, I think that one, I talk a lot about the voice that's in our head, that little inner critic that's negative. And so often we're on autopilot and believe what that voice is saying is true.
True. Right.
So depending on what your past is like is the actions you take right now. So people that commit suicide, I can't even imagine the pain that they must have within them. So I have a lot of compassion, unless you're in someone else's shoes,
right?
Who knows what's really going on.
Exactly.
But I think, and just from the research that I've done, because there's a bunch of people that have, between the mediums, between the doctors, between the people that have had the near-death experiences, what the world's like from all these different things. So suicide is something that when you pass away or pass over, cross over, same thing. You're greeted by those that you love. They always talk about the life review. I'm sure you've heard about that. We have this life review.
Right.
And it's not a matter of just like looking at what's happened in your life. What they say is that you actually get to feel from the other person's point of view how you impacted them, how you affected them. So if you and I got into a real nasty fight right now and I passed away, I will, in my life review, I'll be seeing that argument from your point of view and feeling your feelings.
Really?
Yeah, which is cool.
That's pretty intense.
It's very intense. Well, it has us watch our actions.
But who's to say that's
more.
really, any of this stuff is really true?
Again, that's where faith comes in. It's there's enough bodies.
Okay, so we're talking about
people.
faith now.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's been the people that I've compiled in my studies are all people that have accurately been able to connect with the deceased, whether it's a remote viewing thing, whether it's through using audio and visual equipment. There's a whole school of people, even the U.S. government, working with these electronic voice phenomena, capturing sounds from no sounds. And
what about like those seances and the Ouija boards and all that stuff? That's kind of spooky.
It is.
Do you believe in any of that stuff?
I'd say yes and no. See, our imagination is so powerful.
Exactly.
That if
it's like the placebo, you know?
Exactly.
I had a doctor on, quite some time ago now, almost a year ago, but where he was talking about antidepressants and how it's really nothing more than a placebo effect. I'm not sure I necessarily buy into that, but placebo is a very strong.
It's very real.
I mean, we can tell ourselves a lot of things and really and believe them.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. And good or bad. But when you take somebody like there's a minister here in Quincy, Reverend Rita Berkowitz, who's at the Spiritualist Church. And she's someone who I met. And even though after my dad had passed, even though I believed what I believed, she's someone that is what's called a spirit artist. So she not only tells you the story, she's sketching in a notepad. Francesca?
Wow.
She drew a picture of my dad about when he was in the Air Force. Looked very distinctly like him. She said, when we cross over, we can be whatever age we want to be. She told me the story of how
we can be what we choose our age.
We choose our age. We have no ailments. You have glasses. You can see clearly. You battle your weight all your life.
So the hell is on earth. The heaven is afterwards,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. But
so what do you think the purpose of all this is?
I think, I tell a funny story that if heaven is this place that it's all good all the time, the problem with that is it gets boring. Kind of like if cheesecake's your favorite food and then that's the only thing you get to eat. Not so great. Yeah. So I tell the story playfully, but there's this place on earth that you can come and that you get a body, right? And you get 5 senses and it's not boring. Certainly it's not boring. We get emotions.
No, but sometimes it's nice. Boring is nice.
Sometimes.
Sometimes boring can be nice when it's, Sometimes. Exactly. Yeah.
But I say this very playfully, that I believe that earth is a place for us to learn, to grow, to love ourselves, to love others, to forgive.
What happens if we don't get those lessons right?
I believe that we come back and do it again.
Oh, jeez, Louise, huh?
Now that's my belief.
All right,
I'm entitled.
I've got some questions from Facebook. Laura from Somerville, are ghosts proof of life after death?
Well, see, you can't see ghosts. So there you go.
Well, but, it was many, many years ago. I mean, I'm talking a lot of years ago. I was out to dinner with someone, and it was a restaurant in Duxbury that was notorious for having ghosts. And the bottle of wine came over to the table and it exploded.
It's possible.
Okay, so that was a proof of a ghost. I wasn't going back that place again.
Sure.
I mean, ghosts do exist, don't you think?
I believe they do. Sure.
I mean, there are houses that have ghosts.
I don't think it's something people need to be afraid of on a daily basis. One of the things that one of the reasons I wrote the book was to empower people to be here, now, powerful, what often happens is people taking their last breaths before they pass away have regrets. There's things they haven't said. There's things they haven't done. And so the intention behind my book is actually 3 things. One, give some people some pretty credible evidence that we go on, right? So we don't have to be afraid of death. Our loved ones that we have lost are not gone. It's definitely to empower people living in their life now. But the tipping point, the thing that had me write the book, Francesca, is when my dad died. going through the grieving process, because as human beings, we're never taught about grief. We don't know what it is. And I tell you, if you don't mind me sharing just a bit, because I think this is kind of like the undercover reason I wrote the book, because when Dad died, not only did I go through the most pain I've ever felt and cried more tears than I've ever imagined, but my relationship with my siblings broke up. The fighting, right?
Death can do a lot. Yeah, it can cause,
but not knowing the reason that would take a perfectly good family and turn us all into these evil monsters, accusing each other of all kinds of things. All of a sudden, somehow, something like
death and divorce are the two Ds. They're killer. They turn people into
but why
monsters.
I had to find out why,
and they're both losses.
They're huge losses. So is when somebody loses a house, like all these families in Oklahoma that have lost their homes, and if somebody gets diagnosed with an illness, somebody loses their job. So grief kicks in, and just as what I found out, and as simple as I can put it, is in our brains, we have this neurotransmitter called serotonin, and that's our feel-good thing. Yep. And when we grieve, when we have a shock and a tremendous loss like that, there's only maybe 10% of the of serotonin produced in our brain not functioning at 100%. So that accounts for the sadness and all that. But what we don't realize, it impacts our communication, our memory center in our brains, and our perception. And why I ended up writing the book and saying this story has to be told is because why there's so many arguments and fights and things like that is the grieving brain can't accurately receive information and communicate. So we might be fighting over something. You're thinking one thing, I'm thinking another, and the communication's not there. When I found out this information, I chose to give it away and created an audio called How to Survive Grief. Put it online at survivegrief.com. No strings attached. There it is. And in a matter of a year, 3,000 people in 15 countries had downloaded it.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
It is, because I only made a few posts on Facebook. It wasn't like I advertised it. But then what happened is doctors started recommending it. Suicide prevention agencies started recommending it. And the final straw was when people started telling me they chose not to end their life because of my words. It's like I knew what their pain was. I identified it as grief. They were able to look at their life, notice the loss, and go, yeah, I'm feeling that. Yeah, I'm feeling that. And so
great work.
It only took a few of those to realize that I need to write a book. But who's going to buy a book on grief? Nah, you will if you're looking. However, there are 7 billion people on the planet. I don't even know how many in the United States. And I knew that the top number one subject that people are most afraid of, and the top book they buy, is about life after death. And at some point I said, Sandra, you have to get over your fears of what people are going to think.
Yeah.
The heck with it.
Yeah.
And you're going to just have to take a chance.
I actually interviewed Todd Burpo, who wrote Heaven is for Real.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, quite some time ago. That was sort of a fascinating story. So, Jill from Scituate, do you believe in near-death experiences?
Yes, I do.
Obviously you do. Yeah.
I do. And there's so much more near-death experiences than we hear about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't think people take the time to find out what's out there. It's very easy for our minds to go, it can't be real, just what happens when our brain shuts down. That's it. But between the blind people that can see, and there's something like 200,000 documented cases that are very clear of what people saw. And I like to say that, once years ago, we believed that the Earth was flat. And no matter what anybody said, nope, it's flat. And it took hundreds of years before Magellan went around the globe in his ship before all of a sudden that conversation changed. So it takes people to really be interested and find out, well, start doing the research.
Well, change takes a lot of time.
It does.
I think I have the answer to Jonathan from Salem's question. Do you believe there is karma?
Karma. I say yes.
So like what goes around comes around kind of thing?
I do. I don't know if we can actually pinpoint of, I said this to you, and then next thing you know, I got a flat tire, and that's because I just said what I said to you. I don't know that to be true, but I don't just think. I know the more good actions I've personally taken, and making it about other people and making a difference, the more fantastic, whether you call them miracles or not, but really great coincidences or awesome things have happened.
Sandra Champlain, thank you so much for being on Talk with Francesca today. And people can get your book on Amazon, I take it?
The Amazon, it's in all the local bookstores.
Fantastic.
And barnesandnoble.com. And if your listeners go to wedon'tdiebook.com, there's also some free gifts for them. That
Fantastic.
I put there for listening
Thank you
today.
for being on Talk with Francesca today.